Welcome to your MSC wrap-up. Today marks the first day of the Munich Security Conference. I'm here with Leroy and Fonseca. I'm Anna Kasparian. And it was an eventful day. A lot happened today, a lot of wonderful interviews that I want to talk about in just a minute. But there's also a lot to talk about regarding what didn't happen.
Ooh, yeah.
But before we get to all of that, I want to encourage all of you to use the hashtag YourMSC to share your comments with us while we do this live stream. We want to hear from you. We want to respond to some of your comments and questions. So again, please use the hashtag YourMSC. So guys, talk to me a little bit about what we did today. Leroy, you had a fascinating interview.
Yeah, I started early in the morning. We went to the Munich airport and I talked to Mr. Borisov. You know him?
I don't know him, no.
Okay, he's the Bulgarian, not the president, he's prime minister, I think. And yeah, he just landed with his plane and then he came out and had maybe 5 minutes. It started raining and he gave me his umbrella and I said, hey, I got hair, you ain't got any hair, so take it. No, but it was all right. We became friends, and he hugged me after
awesome.
the air. It was awesome. And after that, we talked with the organizer for transfer to the hotel and
Liaison manager.
Yeah. And he's a German guy. He was funny too. And then I made my way back and talked with Marlene.
Morgan,
No.
right?
With Marlene, because she's driving the cars of Monsieur Macron, for example, and there was an experience too. Yeah.
That's amazing. How about you, Fonseca?
Well, I went to with the interpreters because, as you know, here at the MSC, there are lots of talks, but also lots of bilateral meetings between presidents and prime ministers of different countries, and they don't speak English always, so in most of the cases they need an interpreter, somebody who translates them to their local language, right? Like there is there's going to be a meeting between the Polish prime minister and, say, Donald Trump, so maybe the Polish prime minister doesn't speak English, so he needs an interpreter. So I was speaking to the interpreters of the MSC, and wow, it was really interesting to understand how they do it live, how can they translate all the things we were saying. We made a trial with them. I made actually one of the interpreters who could speak some Spanish say very complicated words in
So you guys
English,
are both burying the lead. Like, I don't know why you're doing that. Like, those are fascinating interviews. It's important to know, all the organizers and all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. There's no question. But, I mean, Fonseca, you spoke to the head of NATO today.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
I spent my Valentine's with a man in uniform, the leader of NATO. It was great. It was very interesting.
You asked some tough questions. For instance, one of the questions that you asked had to do with the relationship between two NATO countries, Turkey and Greece, which has been, very tense. And I thought that was such a great question to ask him. What did you think about, the way he handled that answer?
Well, I have to say, I've been working in politics before, so I've been sometimes training people like him, not so high level, but training politicians to answer interviews. So whenever I see an interview or I make an interview, I judge the person not only on what does he say, but also how good is he or she, not say manipulating, but in framing the questions and turning what it could be an attack into what it could be an attack into a counterattack, So he was very good, but finally I think there was a moment where I kind of caught him when I asked him, well, is it the first time that a NATO member buys weapons to Russia? And he was like, well, I guess it's not the first. And I guess. That is when I said,
That's when you know what you're talking about, and you also know how politicians maybe frame things or spin things in a way that seems more favorable to the public. I think you have a little bit of an advantage, and But one thing that I did find impressive was not only your questions, his handling of the questions, and his willingness to speak to a young audience.
No, he was great. I have to say, yeah.
And that's the reason why we're here. We're trying to get world leaders and people in these high-powered international positions to share what they do and discuss the decisions they make with a younger audience. So I do want to answer one of the questions that's coming in. Again, use the hashtag YourMSC to share your comments or your questions with us. Lena asks, did any politician refuse to talk to you? And I actually wanted to share my views on that a little bit because it's the first day of the Munich Security Conference, so understandably people are just getting here, they're busy, their schedules are a little restrictive. And so we decided to see if maybe Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would be willing to come up and speak with us. So we went to where he was giving a speech, and I'm going to be honest, we were just kind of like stalking the situation to see if I could maybe approach him and ask him to come and get interviewed by me. And unfortunately, his handler noticed that we were like waiting around. And she told us, no, we have a very busy schedule. He's unavailable. So he didn't say no. His handler said no. But I thought that it would be a really great opportunity for him to connect with a young audience.
So you didn't talk to him?
I didn't get to talk to him, no. I tried. I really did. But it's a challenging situation because people are busy. I mean, understandably, these are world leaders who have a lot going on. And I do want to appeal to them and make the case that while they're doing important things, it's also important to speak to a young audience and help millennials understand what they do or how they make their decisions.
I think there are two things here to be said. First one is that in most of the cases they are already prime ministers and they are not running for elections, so they don't need propaganda. They don't need so much advertising. Like probably if there was some candidate from the American elections now, they will be happy to give interviews, but Justin Trudeau, he just won the elections 2 months ago or last year. And that's one thing. And then the second thing is always this like misconception that, oh, well, you're YouTubers. Like I have it with lots of politicians, especially in the Spanish-speaking world. I can give names of politicians who openly said, no, YouTube, but that's for
they don't
freaks.
take it seriously.
They don't take it seriously.
But I feel like the culture is changing because there are so many professionally done, well-produced news shows now on YouTube.
Sure.
And even if it's not perfectly produced, people have giant audiences and a lot of influence, especially among young viewers. Leroy, you interview so many fascinating people for your show. You do like this man on a street type content, and people want to hear those types of conversations.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we should say that we are journalists. Maybe then it's more interesting for presidents to come over here. I don't know. But you had a situation too, 10 minutes before the live stream?
Yeah. Basically, it was we were so desperate to get some interview that, okay, first Kasparian tried with Trudeau.
Yep.
We said, okay, come on, Kasparian, she's well known in America. Like she's for those who are watching the video from Spain or from Spanish-speaking countries, Kasparian, she's like a big shot in an American journalism.
I'm getting embarrassed, but thank you.
She's super famous. So we thought, okay, Kasparian, go there. She goes there and she's gonna convince Trudeau. So then once it didn't happen, they say, okay, Fonseca, you go and maybe he's gonna feel pity of you. And
no, maybe more comfortable. I mean, I don't know if Justin Trudeau knows who I am. I doubt it, but. You got to try as many times as you can. But Fonseca, one thing that I do appreciate about you is, you do political content, I do political content, and we come from different perspectives politically.
Yeah.
You might be the only person on the right of me who has such a respectful, civil way of discussing politics. And I think that's been one of the best experiences I've had so far at MSC because, I think a lot of political discourse is vicious and toxic.
Yeah.
And last night, we had a couple glasses of wine with the crew, the wonderful producers here who work so hard. And we were just talking about our views and how we come from different perspectives. And it's wonderful. Like, I want to see more political discussions like that.
I think this is something that we need in all the countries in America, in all across Europe. It's important that we understand, like, okay, you can have a perspective, but also understand first the other person's perspective, and also the nuances. Because I said it many times, like working in elections, I have so many epiphanies. Like, well, I've said it a lot of times in the Spanish channel. I made campaigns for PP, which is like the Spanish People's Party, is like a conservative. Mm-hmm. And working there, and when you see how the sausage is made, you realize that many things are, well, in so many cases, sometimes the other guys are right. My epiphany came when 2011, I don't remember exactly the day, but I remember we were on the middle of the campaign, 2 weeks before the elections, national elections, you can imagine. And we had the TV, and in that moment, ETA, which was like a terrorist group in Spain, very brutal, similar to the Bader-Meinhof in Germany, ETA, I'm sure you know them, the Basque separatists, and they announced the end of violence, that they would not kill anymore. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I had to admit that the Social Democrats' strategy, it worked. Mm-hmm. And I had been years criticizing it, making videos, making ads, making articles with a lot of vitriol against the Social Democratic president. And in that moment, I had to say, well, I still don't know if I like it or not, but it worked.
Yeah, you have an open mind, and I think that's incredibly important, especially when you have these discussions with people that you might disagree with, whether it's a YouTube creator or a high-powered politician. So speaking of your open-mindedness, I do want to go to one of the comments from Twitter. Mm-hmm. Again, please use the hashtag YourMSC to write in. We'd love to answer some of your questions. And Rohirrim Red from Twitter wants to give you some credit for your open-mindedness, writes in and says, thumbs up for interviewing such a high-ranking person with a jacket like that.
Boo! Is it a compliment or?
I think that jacket is bold.
It's a double side.
And I like floral patterns, so I love it, Fonseca. What do you think, Leroy?
Oh, that's pretty nice.
I like the sleek, turtleneck situation you got going on. I love a man in a turtleneck, so awesome.
Thank you.
But would you wear a jacket like that?
I don't know. I think. Yeah.
Oh, no, I have the microphone.
Okay. Maybe later, but I think I'm black, so I can wear almost everything. And
it's gonna look badass.
No. That's not my point. I could try it. Yeah, I could try it, but maybe tomorrow.
I can give it to you tomorrow. I have other outfits for tomorrow.
So we change outfits, and next day, Sunday, you wear my.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to wear your turtleneck.
And then next Sunday, I wear her shoes.
Oh yeah.
If you want, I don't know if they'll fit.
If you want to see this, leave a comment below.
So again, use the hashtag YourMSC, and I hope that you're enjoying the conversation and enjoying the interviews. Make sure you check out the interviews that were done today. Leroy's interview with Jennifer Morgan, the head of Greenpeace, and also Fonseca interviewing the top gun at NATO, which is pretty impressive. And your questions were good. I thought they were wonderful.
Top Gun NATO. All of a sudden it came like, do you know the movie Top Gun? Maybe I'm too old, but with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden it.
Leroy's much younger than we are, so.
Yeah, we're kind of the same age.
Yeah, let's move away from that topic. We can go back to talking about your blazer if you want.
Yeah.
So what would be a dream come true in terms of an interview for you guys? Who would you guys really want to talk to at this event?
I want to talk to Mr. Spahn. He's in Germany the health minister. Is that right? Yeah, health for health care, and I could do it in German. And in this moment in Germany we have many discussions, so I could maybe bring some points and get some good answers, but it's not sure if he's coming. That's the main problem in this second. We don't know who's coming tomorrow, so we have to be flexible. We have to be spontaneous.
Spontaneous, yeah. You have to go with the flow. How about you, Fonseca? I know you have many interests.
I don't know. My dream, I don't know if he's here, would be Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia.
Okay.
Because we've spoken a lot in Visual Politica about Ethiopia, and it's kind of like the closest thing to a miracle that I've seen since I have political memory. I don't know if he's going to come, but I mean, also thinking of the audience, probably I would like to interview someone from the Spanish government that it might come. If somebody from the Spanish government is looking at this live stream, joder, mirar a ver que soy un youtuber español,
And you should also share with
apoyar un
us.
poco.
You should also share with us who you would like to hear from.
Yeah.
Who would you wish for us to interview? I mean, we can't make any promises, clearly, but use the hashtag YourMSC and tell us which world leader you're most interested in hearing an interview from.
We will try everything to get them.
Yeah.
Also, you can try to send them some message on Twitter saying, hey, you should accept the interview
Yeah, politely.
by MSC, politely, obviously,
Yes.
but maybe if they can
Come
see
here,
that.
come here.
So I have one more comment from the Your MSC section. Remember, use the hashtag YourMSC if you want to write into us. How much time does it take on an everyday basis to keep up with national and international politics on a level that you can interview leading politicians and react to their evasive answers? This was sent in by Ben E.F. Point. And I think it's a great question.
A good question for you, maybe.
Yes, I would say that I consume political content, meaning reading newspapers, watching shows, listening to podcasts, almost every minute of the day. So for the show that I host and executive produce, The Young Turks, that takes all day to do the research and the production of that show. And then once I'm off of work, you would think that I'd want to, do something else. But I find myself listening to other political shows, mostly to keep up with what other people are doing, to see if there are some ideas that we can implement with our own show, but also to learn about topics that maybe we didn't talk about that day. I just love it. I love it. If it felt like work to me, then I wouldn't be able to do it. But it's all day, every day.
How do you figure out what is fake news and what is real news?
So for me, it really depends on whether I've personally vetted the sources. If it's a source that I've never heard of, then I'll fact check it by finding other reputable sources that corroborate what was reported. But there is a really big problem with fake news and some disinformation, especially in America during election time.
Yeah.
And so you really need to understand media literacy and be careful with what you believe and which sources you choose to trust. Yeah.
What about you, Fonseca?
I hope we get to interview somebody and talk about the fake news thing, because I think it's becoming more and more in the political debate as well, how to regulate fake news, and I think it's interesting, a little bit dangerous,
Very
but also
dangerous.
interesting.
I think it's extremely dangerous. What the proposals that I've seen in combating fake news really do put freedom of press in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And who's the arbiter? Who is the decision maker when it comes to picking what's fake news and what isn't? I think that creates a situation for abuse of power. Yeah.
I mean, maybe there are some blatant fake news that probably we can all agree, like when they are faking the layout of, I don't know, BBC and putting that new, probably you can see, okay, this is clearly fake news, but then the rest it's hard
It's
to
complicated.
know where to put the line, so.
Absolutely.
But maybe tomorrow, maybe you have
Maybe
a
we
chance.
can discuss that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Special thanks to all the hard-working producers that made this happen. Special thanks to Google and YouTube for pushing to have this event, to make sure that millennials, get a seat at the table and listen to what world leaders have to say. We're going to do this for another 2 days, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you keep watching, and please share this stream, share these interviews, because the more we get young voices out there, the more politicians will feel the need to speak to us. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment.